Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So we're going to continue our pond project this morning. Got some rain coming down, so that's going to be nice for dust. Keep the dust down from the haul truck. Since it don't have air conditioning, you have to run it with the doors open or you suffocate in there because it gets so hot. So we got the 9300 and we've got the dirt wagon. So we're going to haul with it also. So we're going to get started here this morning and get this big pile of sand moved out of the way so I can continue digging. George is going to put some fuel in the haul truck and we'll get started this morning. Well, getting started here where I left off last night. Getting some depth back on this because it sloughed in overnight. Get it dug back down deep and take off digging again. Getting quite a bit of rain, which is not a bad thing. It's probably not the best thing for hauling today, but it's good for the corn and soybeans because we definitely needed the rain. We've been running the irrigation at the shop pretty much non-stop. It's been so dry. We don't have the airport farm to worry about anymore, because we don't farm that anymore. So we don't have to deal with them irrigation systems there, which they're not the best anyways. There's just not enough water on that farm. It takes them forever to make a complete turn, because you got to run them so slow. But don't have to deal with them anymore. It's actually nice dropping some acreage. Left more time for other things, more time for excavating, more time for just personal time. Not driving 30 some miles to go farm in Madairyville and Francisville anymore, which is nice. It's less tire wear on the tractors, less road exposure. Rain's really coming down. I'm surprised. Josh is helping us today. He's running the 9300 with the wagon. The wagon works really good. The only downfall is the wheels don't drive on the wagon like they would on the haul if it was a haul truck. So you're kind of pulling some dead weight, really. Be nice if those wheels would drive, because then there'd be motion under the load, I suppose you could say. If they drove with the weight of the load on them, it'd be kind of cool to put some kind of hydrostat unit under there to turn the drive shaft, because the axles are still intact from when it was a haul truck. So really, if you had a way you could hook a drive shaft up with some sort of hydrostat motor or a gear driven something off the PTO of the tractor that you could make variable speed from the cab so you could adjust it, you could in theory make that wagon drive again. I know overseas they have some silage wagons I've seen that will actually help. They've got a drive system under them. was just seeing if I was awake. The swing brake on the 270 isn't what it used to be. It's getting a little weak, so it's probably, maybe that's what happened. Load out on this side too. I'd load the truck or the wagon, but it's just too soft over here. It's amazing that you move that far and the formation of muck changes into sand and we're able to get it out. It's kind of crazy the way stuff or the layers lay in this area. We're just lucky that there's any sand at all under this muck right here. Usually it's muck and then peat moss and marrow. Turned out to be a great area for a pond, really. Be able to plant all kinds of stuff around it and it'll grow nice. And you still have sand for sand bottom. Real good location for a pond, really. Have plenty of topsoil to put back around wherever we have to grade off sand. Sometimes you dig a pond and all you have is left to work with is just sand. Alright, I'm going to keep digging and we'll get some video later on. The goal is to get rid of that pile today. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. Like it quit raining a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna keep digging. Well, decided to get up on the pile for a little bit and help Dad load some of the sand out. Can't really dig anymore until I get some of the sand out of my way. Kind of painted myself into the corner here. A lot faster with two hauling instead of just one. Beautiful sand. Be nice for like masonry stuff, I think. Good play sand. It does have a little bit of black in it here and there from the muck, but the kids could dip that out as they play, throw it out in the yard. It's probably not clean enough to be masonry sand. There's a chunk of tile. You wouldn't want that in your brick or block mortar. That might raise a little hell going through the old mortar mixer. Chunk of 8-inch tile. Out of this stuff pretty quick. Must be pretty coarse. It's not dry, but it's not sopping wet either. Too much left here, really. Well, it is my favorite time of the day. It is lunchtime, so as soon as Josh parks that, that'll work. Maybe we'll get a word from Josh when he gets out of the cab. See if Josh has any words of wisdom. Anytime. Grandma was slow, but she's old. Hey, you got any words of wisdom for us?
Yeah, sunscreen's to be applied before going out on the boat, not after.
Oh. Why don't you tell us why?
I don't know.
Are you covered in sunburn?
Because I think it popped.
Ew. He's got blistering sunburn because somebody didn't put the sunscreen on before they went out on the boat.
On the way back from the boat ride, that's when I applied it.
Oh, on the way back. Well, there you go. Thoughts of Josh today. Apply your sunscreen first. I like the shorts.
Yeah. Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply? I'll have to get me a pair.
$30.
Yeah. All right, let's go to lunch. Well, we're down to the very end of the pond. We're just about done with the main digging of the pond. Get this corner dug out here. Let me tip this camera up a little bit. There we go, that's better. Gonna finish this corner here. Now I've really shallowed up so that the kids have a nice safe spot that they can play. They don't have to get too deep. Then where I'm sitting, we'll peel it all back and we'll make a beach out of it. Video of digging in the pond, and I put it up last night. I was just reading through some comments. A viewer asked me, well, how do you know when you're done digging? Well, when the customer's happy. That's how you know. We'll have him come look at it. He's supposed to be out here, oh, not tomorrow, but next day, which will be Friday. And we'll rough it all out and have him look at it. If he's happy, we'll finish grade it all and then we'll be done. Which his mom keeps coming out here and she FaceTimes him because he works down south somewhere and lives down south somewhere. And so she comes out here and she turns FaceTime on so he can see what we got done so far. And so far he's just tickled to death with it. So that we've made his dream come true. He always wanted a piece of land with a pond on it. Well, now he's got his piece of land with a pond on it. It'll look really nice when the banks are tapered. Do is we'll probably taper them out and kind of make some basically like roadways around this pond since it is in a low spot. Then you won't have to drive through any water or anything like that. Because it's muck, it's kind of soft, so this what little bit of sand will be in the taper dirt, that'll firm it up and give him something nice to drive side by side, golf cart, four-wheeler on, or whatever he's going to drive out here. So it'll be real nice by the time we're done. Then we got to go shape the berm that we're making out all this dirt. I think it's about a quarter-mile long. I think they might be 3 dumps wide now. I haven't been over there in a little bit, but they were 2 loads wide. Now I think they're probably widened it out to 3. Moved a lot of dirt in the last couple days. I know the bucket on the 220, it's getting shiny, real shiny. Like there's no paint on the top of it. I wore it off. It's down to the primer. Sand's abrasive. It is nice having a quick coupler, that way that quick coupler is higher and it keeps the sand out of the main bucket pin. Finish getting this dipped out and squared up. Probably get back up on the pile and load out some more. Be nice to get the rest of that pile out of here yet today. So we ended up with roughly a half acre of water. What I measured it out to be. So that's what they were after, is a half acre of water. Make him a nice pond. It'll be a while before it can be stocked though. Probably wait till next year. And I guess they only bring fish at certain times. There's only certain times of the year that a stocking company will actually deliver them. I can't remember what the dates were. I want to say one was like in September. So I don't know if it's just because of cooler times to haul them or what the deal is with that. Something I've never really been into is the side of stocking a pond and just digging them. I know when you dig a stocked pond, you can only dig for about an hour and a half per day, and you gotta let it sit and the water clear back up. Because if you dig any more than that, you're gonna kill fish. they've hauled a lot of dirt over here. They're not 3 wide yet, they're still 2 wide, but there's a lot of dirt here. It's gonna make a nice berm. Once this is all graded off, planted, they can plant some trees right down the top of it and make them some nice privacy for the property here. turned out nice. The big pile is all gone. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll start tapering banks out, and we'll see how it looks when we're all done. I think it looks pretty nice right now. Look a lot better with those banks tapered out though. Well, good morning. We're going to start tapering some banks here this morning. George has got a good start already on that side. I'm going to work on this side. So the customer has went through and he's dug out all of his little willow trees up here. So we don't have to worry about those anymore. So now we have plenty of room to taper this back. He said that he'd rather have us taper this way back and not have to worry about the willow trees. They weren't real big anyways. We were just going to kind of work around them. But he said he took them out and he'll just replant them. So I got to figure out what taper I want on this. Play with it and see what looks the best. Just grade all this out up on the side of this ridge here. Probably put more than that on it. Because I need to move back a little yet and I can taper it even more. We'll start with that and see what that looks like. Probably brought my ditch bucket for this, but that's alright. We got the dozer here. Get it tapered enough. You can run the dozer down there with no problems at all. Now on George's side that he's working on, we can't taper that too far back because we'll be at the property line. He wants to be able to drive a pickup along the property line. This will be nice down this end because it'll be like a nice wraparound beach for the kids to play on by the time I go on around the end. I titled the first video of this pond project, How to Dig a Pond. Now I done that just for a video title. You don't have to dig a pond the same way that I dig a pond. And I'm not saying that I dig a pond the right way. But there's only so many ways you can dig a pond. Just dig a hole and it fills up with water. Then you taper the sides out. Some ponds, though, are made in the side of hills that hold water. There's all kinds of different ponds. There's clay-lined ponds. We're just very fortunate in our area that we have a high water table. So it's not hard to find a spot on the property around here to dig a pond. You just have to find a low spot and start digging. Now in other places, they have to clay-line ponds and they have to constantly pump them full of water. Which this area, that's not a problem. Or they'll dig a pond and they'll coat the bottom with bentonite pellets and let that soak in the soil, and it creates I don't know if it's completely waterproof, but it really slows the water from going through the floor of the pond or the sides of the pond. It's like a slimy clay-like substance. You usually find it around when they're drilling wells. You'll find it around the well after they're done. You step in that stuff and it just does not come off your boots very easy. This is where grade alls come in handy. Do this first pass and then I'll move back and do a second pass. And that should give us the taper we want. I want to say in one of Dirt Perfect's videos he did a pond that was kind of on the side of a hill, and I think it was for Logger Wade's parents. I think that was one of his first videos that I ever watched. It's a pretty cool project. I believe it was at their house. I want to say maybe they were doing it so the cows had somewhere to drink water from. That's been a while ago. It's hard to believe I've been on YouTube for like, what's it been? Almost 6 years now, I think. I don't know why I didn't start sooner. I mean, back in the day when we first started excavating, all the action I could have videoed. Back in the days of having the old John Deere 790 as our main excavator. Had the D65 Komatsu dozer, the old Mack dump truck. Those were the golden years. The old 790 had 10,000 hours on it when we got it. We put another 10 on it. I think we overhauled every component on it. Done it all ourselves. Why wasn't I making videos back then? I was still in high school for part of that. YouTube was just in its infancy. I remember sitting at my buddy John's house because he had dial-up internet, watching some of the first YouTube videos. Oh, the old dial-up internet. Remember those days when you'd have to sit there and hit the dial button and it would go and do that noise, whatever it made. And you would find those CDs and magazines that would give you like, I don't know, 30 minutes free of AOL or internet or something. You use those. Some of you remember those days. We're spoiled now. Internet stays connected all day long in the house. Wi-Fi anywhere you go in the house. You don't have to drag a cord around. I remember I used to stay the night at my aunt's house a lot. We'd want to watch a pay-per-view movie on DirecTV. She'd have to stretch the phone cable across the house, plug it into the back of the DirecTV, and they'd have to stay plugged in the whole time you're watching the movie. Yeah, those were the days. It's crazy how things changed so fast. We went from that to Wi-Fi in like just a few years. They say like my generation, you know, I was born in '89, we've seen like all the changes. Like we went from cassette tapes, VHS tapes to CDs, to music on CDs, MP3 players, iPods. All that stuff changed in like our generation. It's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, even excavator technology changed so much in that time period. Went from laser to GPS. It's kind of crazy. The farming industry. Holy crap. If you would have mentioned a tractor was going to drive itself back when I was born, no way. No, it ain't ever going to happen. No, we ain't going to have auto steer. Now look. We have tractors that don't even have an operator in the cab. It's crazy. We have AI now that's just ruining everything, which found out YouTube is going to make a new rule that AIs cannot be faceless channels, so that's going to knock a lot of the AIs out, which is a good thing because AI is just ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. Alright, I'm going to keep stripping, getting this worked back. Get some video later on. If not, I'll just sit here and rattle on about how things have changed. Which a lot of stuff has changed. It's crazy. We never used to have all these rewards points either at different shopping places. I remember they just give coupons. It wasn't a reward, it was just a paper coupon. Alright, I'm done. I'll go on for the rest of the day. I got that side all tapered out, graded out. Got this side all graded out and tapered. That side we just need to haul off the remainder of the sand from tapering, and then that's going to stay just like that because he needs to maintain a driveway over there. And if we taper it too much, it'll be too close to the property line until eventually he buys a strip of this woods. So maybe if he does that, we'll come back and we'll taper that even farther back. But everything looks good so far. I got that berm all knocked down over there along the road. It looks real nice. I forgot to take some video before I left over there because it was raining pretty hard. So what we're doing now is just hauling off. Scooter's in the haul truck. We're just hauling off the remainder of the topsoil in this corner. See that pile jiggle when Dad moves around on it. It is muck, so it is soft. We're gonna haul that up to where George is at right now with the haul truck. He's got the tractor. We're gonna dump it up there. That way, if he does sell some of that topsoil, it'll be easy for people to come get because it's up on the high ground. They don't have to try to come down here in the muck to get it. But the pond is filling up. It raised about a foot since yesterday, so that's nice to see. So all we got really left to do is clean that up and finish the beach area out, and then we're pretty much done with this project. We're moving along quite nicely and things are looking good. Well, I told George, I said, why don't you hop into 220 and go finish that beach area out? I said, I'll take over hauling. He done such a nice job on the first part of it that I thought, well, why mess with perfection? Truck. My uncle used to own it. Well, then he sold it to my cousin because my cousin Matt had a bunch of dirt he wanted to move. So we rented it back from my cousin Matt, which works out real nice. I had a viewer comment, and it was when I was baling hay. He said, "Oh, it's a good thing that your family has all that equipment, or else you would have to work for McDonald's because you wouldn't have no equipment to work with." Well, that's not how it works. I rent that equipment. I don't just borrow it, I rent it. Like the deal with my uncle's hay mower, I put parts into it, so it's not like I just use the stuff. Like we're going to be putting a new sickle in his hay mower, so it's not like I use it for nothing. And then my cousin Matt's hay baler and his hay tedder, I rent that. So technically, it's not like I just use it for nothing. I had to laugh though. I have to work at McDonald's. It's one of them deals that, you know, when they need something, we've got all this equipment, the excavating equipment, some of our farm equipment. They need it. They're welcome to come get it whenever they want it. So some stuff, it's like, well, why should both own it when you can just borrow it back and forth or rent it back and forth? Some people make comments without even thinking about it, I guess. Just automatically assume always using it for nothing. Good thing he's got them around, or he'd have to work for McDonald's. Well, there's some days that I think it might be a little simpler to work for McDonald's. Really thought about going to work for Costco. Looks like a nice store to go work in. Plus you get free samples. Just walk by and grab you a sample. Alright, go back and get another load. Well, how's George doing on the beach now? Looks good. Pretty soon he's gonna be sitting in his chair with his umbrella. Real nice, George. Alright, so we're about out of topsoil to haul here. So Seth is going to be selling this topsoil. That's why we're piling it up here. So if anybody in North Judson needs any topsoil, get a hold of Seth and he'll sell you some. He's going to be planting switchgrass that comes from like Africa on that sand over there or something. So he didn't want to put any topsoil over that, so we're just going to leave that like that. He's going to plant that switchgrass on top, give him some privacy. That stuff likes sand, so that'd be a good fit for it. So I was backing up to these piles dumping, and I was thinking about when I was in the operators competition, I backed the haul truck up on the last pile that was dumped, and the commissioner was like, "Oh, he backed up on that pile." Well, I'm so used to doing that because I like my piles tight together. And another reason I do that is because when we haul sand out in the muck to firm it up, you always try to back the truck or the wagon up on your last pile, so when you dump, you don't tip the wagon or the truck over. That last pile is just enough stability, it kind of acts like a mat, and it holds the wagon or the truck upright. Because there's been a lot of times you just pull out there and dump, next thing you know the wagon tips over or the truck tips over. Well, just the back half of the truck. Doesn't take nothing to set it back up. In fact, I've got a couple videos of setting it back up. The wagon's the same, the hitch turns so that it doesn't flip the back of the tractor over or anything like that. And it's got long enough hydraulic hoses that it don't hurt anything. The truck's got the same setup, long hoses between the cab, and it's got a swivel joint that lets it flip right over. And I think that was even remarked in the video at the operator competition that I backed up on the last pile. I was just trying to do it fast at that point. I didn't care. It's not going to hurt the truck. Haul trucks are designed and built tough, so the worst that could happen is maybe you break a tail light out if there's a rock in the pile or something. But other than that, you're not going to hurt anything. Might just get the rear ends a little dirty. But hey, when you're out in the muck and you don't want to upset one, you back it up on the last pile. You'd be surprised how much more stable it is. But you got to get it backed up on there evenly and straight so it's not off to one side and already tipped. Alright, looks like we got maybe one load left over there. Let Scooter come through. I gotta let the wagon finish sitting down. It kind of goes kind of slow. It's a little slower running the oil through the tractor remote versus the actual valve that was originally on the trucks. They had a lot bigger lines that run to the bed, so they went up and down faster. There goes Scooter. Check him out at Scooter's World on YouTube for all your small engine repair needs. Well, we're hauling the rest of the sand now from along that side. Gonna take it down here to the end of my berm and dump it. Well, not my berm, Seth's berm. But we're gonna dump it down here at the end so I can finish out the end. Berm looks real good. It's a nice height. When you're on the road, you can't see over it. So by the time the switchgrass grows on it, it's gonna have a lot of privacy, and it's gonna keep the deer on this side of the road. It's gonna keep them on his place. So that's gonna be good for the neighbor over there. They won't have deer eating crops, and Seth will have deer here in his nature preserve where he wants them. So I feel kind of stupid. I didn't realize that the remote was turned down on the wagon on first remote, I turned it down when I had the tile plow hooked to it, so the tile plow wasn't overly sensitive following grade. So I had it down to like 75%, so I went ahead and turned it back up to 100, and that makes the wagon go up a little bit faster than what it has been. But that's okay, because when it's turned up, it also comes down faster. Problem with that is, if you bring it down too fast, you could potentially overfill the hydraulic reservoir on the tractor. You can fill it too quickly. I guess not overfill it, but fill it too quickly, and it can't vent fast enough to let the air out. Which, from past experience pulling the wagon, I know to drop it part way and wait a little bit and drop it some more. That way it has time to vent the oil rushing back into the tank. And also what I did was I made the vent hole bigger in the cap back when we first started pulling this wagon with the tractor. And that helped tremendously. Because what would actually happen is it would pop off the bottom suction hose that goes to the hydraulic pump, and it would drain all the oil out of the tank before you could get out of the cap, grab the hose, and pop it back on. That was kind of bad. So, you just got to keep in your head to bring it down a little and wait. I mean, you can go halfway at least, like there. And just wait for a few seconds. And then bring it down some more. But when the remote's turned down, it don't go down as fast either. Which was nice for like when Josh was running it. Not that he doesn't have experience, but it's something that I would have forgot to tell him about. But with that cap being vented, it's pretty tough to make it do that. To pop the hose off. That hydraulic reservoir is plastic. That was another thing I kind of worried about. You know, being a little older tractor, that plastic might be a little brittle from years of, heat under the hood, because that reservoir's right here under the hood. So I thought, well, don't want to stress it too bad. Don't want it to crack or something like that. But it's actually, if you physically look at it, it's in great shape. So I don't think that'd be ever be an issue, but you just never know. You just hate to push something. Alright, we'll go get some more sand. I can't imagine what that reservoir tank would cost brand new. I bet it's probably, $3,500, $4,000 from Deere. I know a new muffler is like $1,500 for this tractor. That's why it's straight piped. Well, there we go. Pond is finished up. Scooter and I took the dump truck home and the tractor and wagon home. Looks really nice. Seth is happy with it, and congratulations on your new pond, Seth. Hopefully you have a lot of fun out here with the kids and fishing and swimming and all that. So definitely turned out nice. I like it. We got the nice beach area down there for the kids to play on. You come out so far, it's pretty shallow, so they can play and have fun and not have to worry about getting too deep. And then you come part way across and it gets real deep for the fishing. So it ended up a little over a half acre and pretty deep down on this end. So I think it looks really good. That berm turned out nice. I ended up down at that end. We had enough extra dirt that I kind of hooked it around, and that turned out pretty nice down there. So I would say that we're done here. Seth said he's going to drag something around and kind of take out all the little imperfections, and he's going to get some grass seed and get that spread on the banks of the pond where he wants his grasses to grow, and then he's got some trees that he's going to get planted around it. So it's going to look really good here in a few months when it greens up around it and gets those trees growing. And it's going to be real nice now for when he deer hunts, because the deer will have somewhere to get water, because this is the only water source within 3/4 of a mile here. So be really easy for them deer to come out of the woods and get something to drink here during deer hunting season. And maybe he'll get him a monster buck having a pond here now. So, all right, well, we're going to load up and get out of here. We're going to go, we got to go back to the storage unit project. They got all the pads poured, so we can finish getting the stone put down for those. And then we're going to my buddy Mike's house, and we're going to dig another pond there for him. And we're going to use the sand from it to fill in his cow lots and raise them up so the cows aren't in mud all the time. So that's going to be a fun project. That's going to be some good video there. Got to move quite a bit of sand and work it into the cow lots and dry them up so the cows have some good firm ground to walk around on. All right, thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you want to, give me a like. If you really want to, give me a subscribe. I would appreciate that too. So we're almost to 100,000 subscribers. I'm getting excited. 100,000 was my next goal. So see if we can get there. So I couldn't be this far without the viewers, and that is you. So thank you for watching and commenting and smashing that like button. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I read all the comments. I just don't have time to get back to all of them. I try to get back to as many as I possibly can, but eventually I will get to you, especially if you have a question that I can answer. I always try to get those answered as quickly as I can. But thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.